Hello everybody, welcome back to Wolfeei. Today we're going to be doing a full event review of MCC Ender Cup. I'm sorry for being at least 2 days late to this topic because I had some business to take care of, alright? Team announcements, Block Wars, it happens to be the event I organize, so it took a little bit of priority. Either way, spoiler alert here right now, we will be talking about the entire event, including event performances. If you have not watched the event and you do not want to be spoiled about who wins or who does good in anything, don't continue watching, please. Anyways, okay, thank you. Ender Cup was fantastic. I already posted my watch party, which is right here on the screen right now, and we had a really fun time watching the event. It was a really unique experience. It felt like, or at least the amount of effort that went into this MCC was very much showcased properly. It was very easy to tell how much work went into this, and it was fantastic. Very well done by the Noxcrew, of course, with all the production quality and everything. It was great. Either way, we're going to be looking at the specific games and just the overall experience in a bit more detail. And I'm just going to share my thoughts, just like I have for some of the past MCC events. I think I've done it for every event besides Pride. So we'll be talking about that. Starting with, or I'm going to go to the MCC Live tab now. So this is, last spoiler alert, this will literally show scores and winning. Alright, anyways. This was the result of MCC Ender Cup in terms of points and whatnot. We had the purple team coming out on top as the winner against the pink team, which is a very welcomed surprise as a top two. I think the most common prediction was orange versus yellow, and Cyan definitely snuck up in there too. Cyan was my chat's predicted most dominant team for this event, and to be fair, third, fourth, fifth, pretty close. It's just pink and purple had a bit more of a performance this time around. Either way, something that also needs to be mentioned immediately is Fruit Berries and Purpled. I've spoken to both of them a little bit about this post-MCC, but they popped off. Like, genuinely the most insane performance that nobody really expected, I think. I mean, people said maybe someone will break 4K, not maybe 2 people will get the point record, because they did. By the way, fun fact, I'm fairly sure that they both scored more points than Techno did in MCC4. Now, I already said this during the watch party, I think, but there will be people who obviously will discredit it as, well, it was a quote-unquote non-canon, it was an easy roster. Those are fair complaints, those are fair concerns and criticisms of why this shouldn't count. I'm just gonna say, who cares? I think, you know, they deserve the title of point record, or, you know, their performance should still be valued and celebrated because it is fantastic and it is just such a good job from both of them, especially with the teams they had, because they had 2 teams where all their other teammates were pretty inexperienced MCC players. I think both Saikuno and John have played like 2 or 3 events before. Tina had played a couple before, but she hasn't played in a long time. Toast had played once. And then on Fruit's team, Janet had played once, and Blau was entirely new. So Purple's team had a bit more experience, but still, regardless. It was also slightly stronger, I would say. At least slightly stronger. Regardless, fantastic performance for the both of them. Super big thumbs up. And hopefully we'll see performances like that again, because it was really entertaining to watch during the watch party. Either way, time to talk about games specifically, because, you know, it's very notable, and you'll start to see a trend right away with Fruit in first with 900 points, and Purpled in second with 700 points, 700 plus, I should say. And Sky Battle was solid. I'm gonna go back and forth to this tab to kind of remind myself of how things worked out. I feel like this map was honestly pretty decent. I would say that it was very different, of course, and I liked it a decent amount. I definitely still prefer the OG style of maps that used to be in MCC that are now on Island, i.e. a Candyland or even a Classic. I feel like this might be slightly reminiscent of that. The only difference is this does have water, and water can be a little finicky to work with in terms of PvP, but it worked out well. I did watch the best POV of this game, so I have no clue how the experience of Sky Battle was across the board. I have no clue if other players would agree with this map feeling good. I was watching Fruitberries because we were like, Fruit will probably do pretty good, and then he ended up winning every single round and also getting an ace in the first round and whatever. Fantastic performance yet again. But the Tridents as well are in this. I don't know if it's mentioned in one of these. No, but Trident, or it probably is. Tridents were a very interesting addition to Sky Battle. It gave players pretty much an infinite spammable projectile, which does change the way the game is played. It was a very interesting dynamic. Obviously, this is something that is more of a like a remix than it would be like a normal update. It could be a map specific thing as well. I would like to see it be tried out maybe again. For the Tridents to be used, if possible, which may be not possible because of how Minecraft is coded. I would like to see maybe a change where the cooldown on Trident throws is increased. So upon throwing the thing, maybe it takes a longer time to get back, or once you get your Trident back, it's a slight cooldown before you can use it again. Because I do think that it made for a very interesting addition. Like said, I think it creates gameplay that is unique and made the Sky game feel a bit more cool than it usually does, because Sky games are the absolute copies of each other in the current Minecraft event scene. So this felt different. I liked it. It was a cool little vibe. I did like the Tridents. I thought the middle was solid. And Fruitberries POV was fantastic. It was sick. I'm just saying, it was pretty sick. But yeah, that's about it really. About in terms of Sky Battle, it was good. I mean, it was solid, above average Sky Battle experience. Either way, next up, SG. SG I thought was okay. I didn't really have too much of an experience in terms of watching SG. I mean, I was watching it, but it didn't really feel like there was too much going on the entire time. The final border circle, whatever you want to call it, the final 4 teams remaining, was a little goofy to watch. I'm not gonna lie. It was like a mosh pit, but then not really. And then you'd have like half the lobby on like at most 4 HP, and nobody's really hitting anyone, and it was really awkward. Then the map itself just kind of was a vanilla world. You could have literally just said UHC with chests, and that would have been the game. It just looked like a UHC map pretty much, with chests, which is what SG technically kind of is. Not really, but close enough. So yeah, the map, I mean, it's not my favorite. It didn't really feel like a very unique map. It felt just kind of normal, whatever. I do prefer the more MCC-like maps, but I also completely understand why they didn't make a map like that, because the amount of effort that takes is a lot. Either way, SG was alright. I do think that in an ideal world, I would have preferred to see SG not included, as much as it is a staple Minecraft game in the history of Minecraft. I would have preferred to not see it included over something like Rocket Spleef or Bingo specifically would have been my pick to put in the roster, because one thing about the entire event experience that was very noticeable was that it was pretty PvP heavy and obviously movement heavy as well, but the only reason why the event experience I think went a bit better was because the 2 core melee PvP games were thrown out immediately. Sky Battle Game 1, SG Game 2, all that was handled and dealt with, and you know, nobody had to worry about the PvP like that anymore, because with the roster that they had, which is obviously a bit weaker, and there's more variety, and people are less experienced, PvP is not balanced, it's not fair, and it's very noticeable that after 2 games of PvP, Fruitberries has almost 1,600 coins. He's almost averaging 800 points per game. Kind of crazy. A little much, maybe. But that is just the experience that you get with a roster like this, combined with a gameplay inclusion like this. I think SG, interesting, obviously easy to grasp, because I feel like most people have played survival games or know of the Hunger Games at least, so it's easy to explain, easy to understand. But yeah, it just felt alright for me personally in this roster. I understand why it was included, especially for commentary purposes, but it was just okay. Next up, oh, I should actually grab SG. I don't think there was anything particular about the gameplay changes besides the map, either. The map just didn't really feel like there was really much going on at all. The loot table felt like it was weaker than usual, but maybe that's just because we don't really see SG that often, and I don't really remember what is in SG, but I do recall that during the watch party, we were still watching for berries, it did seem like the loot table was kind of bad, as in like bad items, which is fine because it means that people's gameplay experience will be more balanced across the board. You won't have one person with full diamond, which it wasn't even a thing either way, but you don't want to have one person just fully Iron Man their way through the lobby. Kind of, I mean, it still kind of happened, but not really. Either way, SG, yeah, that's about it in terms of SG. The finale, the final border was really goofy and really hard to watch, but it worked out all right. I think it was okay. Next up, Parkour Warrior Survivor, which is very notable because I thought this game was kind of lackluster. Not because I think the gameplay itself was poor, but because it was too short. And again, I already predicted this beforehand. It just doesn't really suit the roster of players that was put alongside this, because the huge skill gap was very noticeable in this roster. I'm pretty sure the top 4 ended up being Shane, Fruit, Purpled, and Hannah, which makes a lot of sense. That is roughly what was expected to happen in terms of the top players for that game, and especially with only one round being there, it felt very, very punishing. Some of the jumps, were not easy at all for at least the average player, and that was very clear right away. And it sucks that some people just had to obviously spectate pretty much the entire time because they are not very experienced parkour players. So yeah, I thought Parkour Warrior was probably the least fun game in the roster for this event. As a viewer and as probably a player too, it just felt kind of meh. I would have loved to see it have 2 rounds. I think there would have probably been enough time to do that. I'm sure there's a valid reason why they didn't do that, but I would have much preferred to see this game get an extra run through in terms of an extra round, because one round with the whole context of the players and everything around it just felt a little meh. Like it's just too much of a skill gap, too much of a point significance for it to feel properly nice. Anyways, that is my thoughts on Parkour Survivor. I'm just going to check again to see if I missed anything. Oh, of course, I should talk about the positive parts about Parkour Survivor, because visually, this game was very appealing. I liked it. I liked the OG textures. Very nice. It was cool. I liked it a lot. The maps were... I mean, the gameplay in terms of the maps was like, alright. I mean, nothing in particular where I was like, wow, but there's also nothing where I'm like, that sucks. It's like, okay, solid. But the visuals were very nice. It was very reminiscent of old Minecraft because they are old Minecraft textures, and this seemed pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, this was just a cool little visual experience, really. Anyways, next up, Ace Race, which I don't even recall Ace Race being in the first half, but I guess it was. Ace Race was actually pretty cool. I was already excited about Ace Race because there was a new map, and it proved, or not even proved, it had surprises in it that I was not expecting to see. There was the moving walls that were in past maps that I didn't expect to really see again, because we haven't really seen those very often. There was most notably the fans that push people, which I assume might be a modded thing, but maybe not. I thought it was really cool. It felt very unique. It felt like a cool experience that hopefully we'll see maybe return at some point in the future, in some way, shape, or form. Maybe even if it's just to get to their side or something along those lines. Because I think they were. It's cool. It's a unique feature that you don't really see too much in events, and I would love to see MCC bring it back for another time, another run through at some point. And I also think this map has the potential to be used again if they are allowed to. So hopefully we'll see it. I thought the feature was really cool. and the map looked nice. I mean, it was very basic, but that makes sense because that is how it was designed. So yeah, pretty cool, interesting, and the map felt pretty good across the board. Not much where I would be like, this should be changed. This is massive, like massively, should be massively overhauled to make it better. I think it was pretty good across the board. Pretty good. Ace Race was pretty good. I don't recall any specific performance pop-offs. I know Purpled was in the lead after like round 1 and just held it because people already were talking about this early on before this game or before this event started, that Purpled was probably one of the more hyped up candidates to do well in Ace Race because he adapts to maps so quickly, and he proved that. I mean, he got first in Ace Race, so pretty dang good. Anyways, next up, there was a break. Oh, speaking of breaks, one thing that I have to say yet again, and I understand that this is for commentary purposes, but as a viewer, this was very draining. The amount of breaks between every game was a bit much. I do not think it was necessary to have a 3-minute break between every single game, and then also extend the mid-break from 5 minutes, or whatever it usually is, to 10 minutes. Was very long. Also, obviously, there was event delays, but I can't fault the Noxcrew for that at all. That's just an, unlucky situation that happens sometimes with event hosting. But the breaks, too much. Like the first few, I was like, yes, it's all right. Like it's expected. And then when that mid break happened, when the after Ace Race before Meltdown 10-minute break happened, I was like, bro, what? Please get me out of here. Anyways. Meltdown up next. Meltdown, obviously, as some of you may know who've watched my videos regarding Ender Cup before the event, may know, and even during the watch party, may know that I've kind of felt iffy about Meltdown for this event because I thought the map was a little lackluster, and it turns out it was better than expected. I do still think, and this is something that I will always agree with because it isn't related to MCC, I do still think that the Nether is a little lackluster in terms of visual appeal. Personally, at least, I do think the Nether could do a little bit better. It's definitely better than it was before. 1.16 was a blessing for the Nether because, God forbid, whatever it looked like before, it was just 2 colors. But still, definitely, could be improved a little bit. However, I do think that the map played a lot better, or at least looked like it played a lot better than it did visually look before the event happened. In the teasers and the trailers and whatever, Meltdown just was alright, but in terms of the actual event, it worked out pretty well. And yeah, Meltdown, some pretty cool plays. Phil's a Minecraft, the GOAT. He was pretty good in this game. I know Pink team did good. I think Orange team did really good. Purple may have won a round as well. Cyan team, yeah, like I said, Cyan team did fantastic. Phil's a Minecraft in specific was the person we watched for Cyan team, so we saw it live happening in front of our eyes. Phil was popping off, F5, peeking, like flick shotting, crazy. But it was really cool. Meltdown always is a treat as a viewing experience, and yeah, no different here. It was fantastic. I loved it. It was great. Yeah, in terms of the rest of like how the map worked, I think it was good. I think in terms of design, this map worked pretty well. And obviously, I'm happy to see Meltdown get a bit of a change for once, because it has been kind of the same thing since its introduction until Ender Cup, which I thought it was okay. I did want to see more unique content, but I'm happy to see it get this treatment for once, and we'll see if this is going to return at any point. I don't expect it to, but maybe it will. We'll see. Anyways, Meltdown, good. Thumbs up. I liked it. The PvP games across the board this event, as much as it was a bit much, it was entertaining. I can't lie. It was entertaining to watch, for the most part. So yeah, I'm gonna take a sip of water. So excuse me real quick, 1 second. Thank you, I appreciate it. Anyways, next up is Hole in the Wall. Hole in the Wall is an interesting one. I'm gonna keep it real. This map felt too difficult for this event. I understand that they wanted to make the map themed around the Guardians and stuff, but I think they could have been a bit nicer to the players in terms of how hard the later stages were going to be, because when someone like a Fire Breath Man gets caught off guard in a hole in the wall map, you gotta realize that might be a little too difficult. Maybe, unless, you know, I mean, I guess it could be a situational thing, but I do think it was a little too hard. But I do think it was cool. It's unique. It is very difficult, but unique. And I do like what they've been doing with Hole in the Wall in the past two events, where they've really been changing up the way the game feels in terms of the map and how that affects the gameplay. Because as much as they've been changing up the platform shape and stuff in the past, I feel like it has had impact, but not nearly as significant amount of impact as it has had in both Twitch Rivals and Ender Cup, because the difficulty spike and the way people have to adapt to the map is nuts. It is crazy, but it was really cool to watch. And yeah, I mean, I also don't recall any specific pop-offs during this game. I mean, clearly, I think Fruit ended up winning this game, but I don't recall anyone doing particularly insane plays. Maybe there was. I probably missed something. I'm gonna keep it real, and I've probably missed something in the past few rounds as well. But who knows? Anyways, Hole in the Wall was cool. I mean, nothing gameplay change-wise past that, really. It was just the map, and that had a lot of impact on how the game was experienced from a viewer perspective and a playing perspective as well. Anyways, next up, to get to the other side was interesting. It was different, and it actually was pretty okay to watch. I obviously have not been the biggest fan of To Get to Your Side in the past, but this rendition of it was pretty solid. I mean, there was 6 new maps, brand new maps in To Get to Your Side, which I don't think will be on the website, but I guess we can see a little bit of it. I think the first, or one of the first ones, if it wasn't just this one, was one where it was kind of progressing through different stages of a map, with the final stage being the most impactful part, which was the one you see on the screen right now, where there was fire and blazes and they shot at you. We were watching Fruitberries because we were like, he'll probably do pretty good at this, and also he was on pace to get 4K points, so we were like, we have to watch either Fruit or Purple at this point, because look at this, and they both broke 4K by game 7. Either way, yeah, this map, it was either map 1 or 2, whichever one was this one. The start kind of felt like baby sensory. It was just hold W, hold sprint, hold jump, and you'd be pretty much fine. There was not much thinking that you had to do. Very little room for error, but if you make a mistake, you do probably fall behind a decent amount. Up until the final 2 sections, there was a interesting section. You kind of see part of it at the bottom left of this image, where it was like pressure plates and trapdoors, but like you want to run fast, but just not send the pressure plate, because then you get blocked with a trapdoor. Interesting mechanic. I do want to say that unique. I wouldn't have thought about that, but it is interesting. Felt a bit odd, but it is interesting, unique, and I like that. And then the final section was kind of weird, but it worked out fine. So either way, yeah, almost every map was kind of themed around a mob having impact on the gameplay. There was also a like maze-esque escape, well, kind of not an escape room. It's just a maze within a woodland mansion where there's a bunch of evokers, or whatever the pillagers with the axes and stuff are, and it was just pillagers, or illagers, sorry, illagers walking around this place, attacking players. I didn't really like the maze levels too much, because it felt inconsistent with how the event ran. It felt unfair To Get to Your Side to just have 2 fully RNG based maps pretty much, when across the event we've seen SG, Sky Battle, and all these things have way more skill involved, and then it just coincidentally ended up being a 2.5x multiplied game as well, so it just felt a little bit meh. Either way, yeah, there was a Woodland Mansion maze. That one was okay. I mean, it's definitely not my least favorite of the maze maps, I think, because there was also a maze that was straight up a maze. It was just RNG. But in particular with Shane, this happened. I think he might have been the only person who had this issue. One of the doors near the end kind of just led to a lava pit, but it was like not very easily visible. It was just like, obviously people were trying to go as fast as possible, so they were just going forward, forward, forward. And Shane ran into lava and got fully sent back to the start randomly, which didn't really feel deserved at all. It felt kind of meh. I didn't really like that too much. But for the rest, I mean, to get to side was alright. I did like the Ice Frostwalker map. I thought that was very unique gameplay, and it definitely is a feature in Minecraft that doesn't really get showcased much. I feel like Frostwalker is pretty unpopular in terms of usage in enchantments and stuff, so cool to see it be used or put to use in a unique way, given a little spin, and it was cool. I honestly, there was also the Shulker one. Shulker map, I like it, but the issue is, since there wasn't really an update video for this event, it was unclear that the Shulker things were boosted significantly. Usually a Shulker gives you like levitation 1. I feel like this one was like levitation at least like 4 or 5, because you went up very quickly. So, I don't know. I don't remember the last map that was in this, because there are 6, I just don't know which one it was. Either way, To Get Your Side was actually kind of an interesting experience. I was, neutral to it overall. There was maps I really liked and hoped to see back. There was maps I really didn't like and hoped to never see back. So we'll see. But I thought it was alright. It was pretty solid. Anyways, finally, well, not finally, second to finally, almost finally, is Grid Runners, which I don't know how often Grid Runners has been Game 8, if at all, before. But as a Game 8 game, it was pretty intense, low-key. Seeing some of the top contending teams not finish was crazy. Cyan team at this point, if we go over here to the event leaderboard, was in first by almost 1,000 points over orange and 1,000 points over pink. Grid Runners, as you can see, Cyan got last, and then Orange also did not end up finishing, which allowed a team like Pink to sneak to second place, which is a very interesting and unexpected experience. I would have literally never guessed that the reason a team like Pink Team, a variety team, makes it to Dodgebolt was the one game that is the most Minecraft knowledge based. I don't know. You would have never seen me expect that or predict that, ever. Either way, Grid Runners rooms were pretty solid, I'd say, across the board. There was one that was particularly difficult, which is the one you see on screen right now, that people had a lot of trouble with. And there was, I think, another one that people were struggling with a little bit. But I do think the new rooms were interesting, and I am happy to see Grid Runners get updated rooms, because I think Grid Runners is a cool game, but it's held back by a lack of updates, because updating the game is difficult. Either way, I thought it was cool, and it was really funny to see teams figure out these puzzles, because there weren't always the most, clear-cut, whatever, like, most straightforward solutions, but it was cool to see. Well, we were watching the Lime team. Figure this out, and it was really cool to see the Lime team figure it out, because they are experienced Minecraft players who are pretty smart, I'd say, across the board, and it was fun. I liked it a lot. But yeah, that is, oh yeah, and then there was a wither fight at the end, which I thought was, it makes sense. I thought it was really odd, but, like, odd in a not negative way. It was just interesting. But it was cool. I like Grid Runners. I thought it was cool. I definitely don't think it was best suited for Game 8, but I also don't really think what game would have been best suited for Game 8 without having too much impact on the event, or overall team scores. I.e. PvP games would have been insanely impactful, so maybe it turned out to be a pretty good finale. It definitely was odd to have the one non-movement, non-PvP game be last, because it felt very out of place, I guess, in terms of how the event experience had been thus far, but turned out pretty good. I thought it was interesting. I liked Grid Runners. And then Dodgebolt, we can just go to the event leaderboard. Dodgebolt, I'll be completely real, was a bit of a painful experience to watch. Slightly painful experience to watch. The first round had a lot of misses, and there was just a lot of misses across the board in Dodgebolt, which turned out to be pretty intense. it did get to a 2-2 in points. Final round determines the winner, and it did end up being, I think, Becky versus John as the final two. However, Becky did just, you know, nail her shot on John, and did fantastic. Obviously, big congrats to the purple team for winning. I was rooting for pink just because, as I've already expressed in the past, I'm typically someone who really enjoys seeing a variety of people play in Minecraft events, and especially those who are infrequent. I always want to, you know, give the most props to for participating and hope to see return at some point. But obviously, purple team did fantastic in terms of points across the board, dominated the event. Well, not dominated, not across the entire event, but like they were off to a rough start, brought it back a little bit, brought it back even more, and then they just held on, did well across the board. It led to them getting first in terms of points and then also winning, which gave, I think, Beck her first win, Pearl her second win, but then a back-to-back win, which is really funny. Fwip, I think, also second win, and then Scott probably on win number like 6 or 7, I don't know. Either way, cool that they won, and some people did tell me or talk to me saying that they did prefer to see purple win because it is the Minecrafter team and they probably care a bit more about the prize and everything around that, which is true, and that is a very valid argument as to why you would root for pink. I was just rooting for, or root for purple, sorry. I was just rooting for pink because different people. I like seeing different people and people that you don't see a lot. That is very cool, very fun. Anyways, more so, before I end, there's 2 more things I want to talk about. First of all, individual leaderboard. This top 5 is incredible. I mean, it does make sense. The top 3 is expected. Hannah was punching across the event for that top 3 spots, but Shane took it back just at the end. But Hannah, if you check the scores, literally up until the last game, Hannah was like in third pretty much the entire time. At least after like Ace Race was just holding on to third, but Shane took it right at the end, which it is what it is. Phil also did fantastic for his first event in a little bit. Nice to see Phil still hold on. Hopefully he plays a bit more often again, or at least plays sometimes, I hope. I hope he really had a fun time, and I hope to see him back. Beck also did fantastic, top fragging her team, which is really, really good. And for the rest, I mean, hey, the players did good across the board. It was cool. It was a fun experience. And then second, I also need to talk about the visuals, because before Dodgebolt started, there was a like cutscene that like led to the Ender Cup, and then it turns out the dome or the Dodgebolt arena was inside of the Ender Cup. That was really sick, fantastic there. It was a little bit of a bait that seemed like it led to an announcement for a Minecraft update, but in reality, I didn't really expect Mojang to announce an update during MCC, because this was like a first time for them to reach out to an event like MCC to host something, and I just don't think it would make sense for them to put like that much of their content on just MCC. So they'll probably wait for another update or another post later down the line. Also, the most recent updates just came out, so I don't know if they'd already announced the next one right away. Either way, there's also really cool cutscenes before the event. Was really, really sick. There was a bunch of like lasers and lights and whatever was really cool. There was also between games, after every game, a tower would like light up and then beam towards the Ender Cup, and then what happened after game 8 was all 8 beams were on the Ender Cup. It like drew everyone in, and then the cutscene started before Dodgebolt. It was really sick across the board in terms of visuals, and definitely proves that MCC is still on top in terms of Minecraft event experience. But I liked it. Good event across the board. I don't really know what I would rank it, because I feel like the main reason why I'm not like, oh my god, the best thing ever of all time, was because the game roster and player roster didn't feel like it had too much cohesion. Felt like the game roster was pretty highly competitive and the play roster was pretty low competitive, and that didn't really cross over super well. I don't think it crossed over poorly either. It just wasn't like the best fit. So I think it is still a fantastic event, but I wouldn't be able to give it like a 9 out of 10. Like I would give it probably like an 8 maybe ish, because like I said, massively impressive across the board. very cool to see a lot of changes, very cool to see a lot of these players back, but it's just that lack of cohesion that tones down the experience a little bit. And also, obviously, I said Survivor felt a little lackluster, SG was like okay. For the rest, I do think the event was fantastic, and I hope to see a Minecraft X MCC event again in the future, whether it's every event, probably not, but hopefully we'll see it back, not just every 15 years, someone already made a joke about that in my comments, but hopefully we'll see it back, maybe on a yearly basis, maybe multiple times a year, maybe bi-yearly, or sometimes just randomly. I hope we see it, and yeah, anyways, that's my thoughts on MCC Ender Cup. Let me know your thoughts on whether you agree with what I said or not, and let me know if you have any hopes regarding MCC for this year, because they've been firing off events not super quickly, but very consistently in terms of quality and interest and everything, and they've been doing a fantastic job proving that Season 4 is probably not going to be the last one, and I'm happy to see that. Anyways, thank you for watching. I'll see you later. Goodbye.